Kia ora koutou. My name's Jen. My pronouns are she and her. I'm a healthcare lead at Qtopia and Rainbow People Health and Wellbeing Advisor at Pegasus Health.
Kia ora, my name's Rebecca Nichols. I'm a GP here in Christchurch and the clinical lead for transgender medicine. My pronouns are she and her. Kia ora.
Kia ora.
I believe we're going to have a chat today about, I think specifically youth and talk about, just some good pointers for parents around kids that are coming out or gender questioning, that kind of thing.
Beautiful.
I guess, I work as a GP and you work in the peer support space, and we probably get pretty similar questions. And I would say that one of the biggest questions is initially, how do I know that they're doing the right thing, that this is the right thing for my child, when they come and tell me that they think that they're transgender or non-binary.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's such a common and important question, right? Because as parents, you always want to make sure that you're doing the right thing. So I guess it varies depending on the age of who we're talking about, right? So for this conversation, we're talking about people who are under 16.
Yeah.
So someone who's coming out then, it can feel like a really big shock for a parent because it's so sudden, it can be out of the blue. You feel like you haven't noticed anything that might indicate some kind of gender diversity or questioning there. But for your child, it's probably not new to them at all, right? It's probably something they've been thinking about for quite some time. It's something they may have, not had the words to describe or to communicate about, or it might be something that they've really known about for some time, but are only just now kind of getting to the point where they feel comfortable sharing about it. So even though it's kind of brand new for us, it might not be brand new for them. And in terms of how you know it's the right thing for them, at that age, what we're talking about is like primarily social stuff, right? So names and pronouns and appearance, clothes, hairstyle, all the stuff that's really easy to change, all the stuff that's really easy to change again if, your child changes how they feel about who they are down the line, and there's really kind of no downside to affirming and supporting a young person at that age for the social things.
So some parents worry that, say they go with the pronouns and the name and perhaps a school uniform and clothes of the person's choice, that what happens in 2 years' time if they say, actually I want to go back to the gender I was assigned at birth? Am I, as a parent, have I done the wrong thing that whole time?
Absolutely.
And affirmed that, and should I kind of stay with what my child was assigned at birth? Would that be a better outcome, really?
Yeah, sure. I don't think you've done the wrong thing at all, right? Because all that's happened there is that your child has said, hey, this is who I am, and you've said, yep, I trust that, I hear that, you know who you are, we'll do what we can to support you. We know that gender is really fluid for lots of people. It's pretty natural for that to change throughout the course of someone's life, and that's totally okay. And kind of who we are now and who we might be in the future and who we have been doesn't invalidate kind of any other part of who we are as well. So if a young person 2 years down the line says, actually I feel really comfortable as my sex assigned at birth, ka pai, you can change your name, you can change your uniform, no harm, no foul. And your young person knows that you really trust them in terms of knowing who they are and that you're there to support them, which I think is a real positive outcome.
And I think the research really is very clear on that now. I mean, there's not a lot of research around particularly young people, and coming out, but actually there's very good research on that mental health support. Their mental health outcomes are identical to their peers and their socio if you support, and no matter what.
Yeah, 100%. And it's something I share a lot with parents and families that I get to meet, because I think it's a really common experience that people are just really worried about what the young person's life is going to be like, and maybe they have some awareness of some of the health outcomes that we see for our community in terms of depression and anxiety and mental health, and maybe they've seen some movies or news. So often of what we have seen about trans people have been the really negative stories, right? But the research is so clear, and I often show them a paper it was published in Pediatrics in 2016 that looked at the mental health of gender diverse young people who are supported in that social transition, so name, pronoun, clothes, appearance, things like that. In this group of kids who have been supported by their families in their identity and that social transition, their rates of depression and anxiety drop back to being on par with the general population for that age group.
Which is pretty good news for parents.
It's massive, right?
Yeah.
And for someone who's really worried about what they can do to support the young person, really worried about their mental health and their mental well-being, it's so nice to know that actually just you being there for them and saying, yep, I see you, I hear you, we'll support you in that affirmed identity is kind of the biggest protective factor there is.